Lovely. Lovely.
Oh shit, I'm going the wrong way. Son of a bitch. Oh, I forgot that the graveyard quest is the ghostoplasm. Ah, that's what I get for not paying attention. Just on a stroll through this wonderful, desolate Desolace. Alright. It's funny, like, I never get my mount. Like, whenever I play, like, vanilla, like, I never, like, at level 40 have anywhere near enough money for a mount. Like, I've got, like, 32 gold. Although I did send gold to some of my other characters, my other, like, ones I'm leveling up, so... Total, I've got maybe, like, 45, 50 gold. But, like, I never have enough gold. It's because I like to use the auction house and buy stuff, you know? It's like, oh, yeah, this is a nice weapon, grab it.
What's up? Hurry back!
Shit, McDouble's 51. Damn it. I was hoping McDouble was only 50. I'm trying to catch up to McDouble before 60, but I don't know if I can do it. I mean, he literally has a 10 level lead on me, and he's only got 9 levels to get to 60, so it's going to be tough to overcome. Basically means I have to level 19 levels to his 9 levels. It's going to be really difficult. I'd have to do like 3 levels a day probably, or at least 2.5 a day. We'll see. Yeah, I was going to say a lot of time there's some grave moss on this corpse here. And as you can see, there is grave moss. Right there. Let the countdown begin. 19 levels to 60. 19 levels. The countdown has begun. Within the next like 10 levels, it's going to start to feel like we're in the home stretch. Once you get to 50, we're in the home stretch.
You need something?
Talk to me. Watch, get her back.
Looking for something specific?
Oh, that's a nice item. This is sold on. It's not sold on.
See you around.
Light be with you. For the Alliance.
Greetings. Elune, light your path. Ishnu Allah. Be careful.
Alright, I'm gonna grab a drink while in flight, because this is a long flight. Be right back. A very long flight. Alright. This is a completely wasted talent point, but I don't want to respec us to fix that. We're going to respec at 60 anyway. Well, we're just a few levels away from actually doing some of the quests here, probably. Actually, no. Let's wait till level 44 or 45, which means, yeah, let's be at 45. So we gotta figure out what we're gonna do from now until 45. That is the question. Well, we can do Assassin's Contract, Rusher's Bounty. This is... this is too high level, right? Yeah, 45. And there's a lot of zones that are kind of like 45-ish. We still need to do the Badlands, so we've got Barbecue Buzzard Wings. We can turn that in. We can go ahead and do the Lucky Pick, the Supply Crate. There's also the other, this one here, the Study of Elemental Rocks. So we got like 4 quests we can do in the Badlands. Oh, and we got Searing Gorge, but I'm too low level for Searing Gorge. Yeah, we're too low level for Searing Gorge. What about Feralus? I'm too low level for this, right? Ooh, 43. Ooh. Still a little bit less, too low level for that too. I'm like, alright, well, we might have to go back to STV and finish out some of the STV quests, yeah. So we'll have to do the Skull Splitter Tusks and the Water Elementals. And then there's a few other quests, but they're all like kind of, again, a little bit. It's like all the quests that I have right now that I can do are all like 45 to 46, and I'm 41. So kind of shitty. Do have a quest to turn in here. 2 quests to turn in here. And let's see. I know a guy. What else can we do? What else can we do? What am I forgetting? I don't think I am forgetting any zones. Oh, wait a minute. We are forgetting these here. Yeah, Sunken Treasures, Drowned Stars. Now, these quests are pretty intense. We definitely won't do the cave quest where we have to go in and defend. That one's scary. So, but we could do the other ones where we go underwater. No, the other ones are scary too because we have to go underwater against the Naga. But we've got underwater breathing potions, so that shouldn't be too bad. Actually, I should craft a few more underwater breathing potions. Let's see. Some water breathing. I think we need blackmouth oil. While we're here, let's check the auction house because the auction house here is different than the auction house in Stormwind. This is like a shared auction house, and I'll give you guys a little tip. If you ever play Paladin and you want to get the Flurry Axe, you want to buy it from the auction house, you want to try to buy it here. Because the Flurry Axe isn't that useful for Horde. It's not as useful for Horde as it is for Alliance because there's a lot more Paladins. On the Alliance side, Horde don't have Paladins. They only have like Shamans. So it's just, the weapon's a lot more useful for the Alliance. A lot of times you'll see people sell it here cheaper than they sell it in the regular auction house. Now here's the big iron fishing pole. I know where to get this, so I'm not gonna. There are nice poles. 4 gold's not a bad price though, actually. Let's go armor, mail. See what we got. Nothing really. Yeah. How about consumable? Just curious what we got. Oh, Deviate Delight recipe. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's actually that's not that expensive. So we'll go ahead and just for fun, we'll buy that. Discolored healing potion. Nah. Looks like your size increase and your strength goes up. Yeah, it's kind of a fun recipe. And usable items only. Sort by the cheapest. Oily blackmouth. Blackmouth oil. 3 silver each.
I got what you need!
It's funny that he doesn't have an empty vial, and yet in his hand he's got like little potions. You guys notice that?
Keep it real!
Let's see, these are like vendors. Let's see, armor crafting.
Yeah, what do you want?
Let's just repair my gear. I thought one of these dudes sold. Here we go.
I have a deal for you?
Yes, you do. And nature protection potion. Ooh, actually, let's grab that. That's
Keep
gonna.
it real!
That's actually gonna come in handy. And what else did he have?
What's up?
Mithril. Okay, we're not gonna worry about those
Be good.
yet. And I only had an. Yeah, so I need. My bank, so let's see if I got stuff in the bank. I think I have some oily blackmouth fish in my bank.
Yo!
I thought so. Oh, need more empty vials, really? Weird, I thought I bought 5. Strange. Hmm.
Glad I could help! Yo! Have a good one! Talk to me! Keep it real! What's up? Hurry back!
few more levels. So level 40, it's like level 44. We have a lot more options. So I think we're gonna do turn the quests I have right now that I can turn in. There's a few quests in Booty Bay and a few quests in Badlands we can do. After those quests are all done, we should be maybe halfway to 43, and then we have to decide what to do. There's a few quests in South Shore. So South Shore, Badlands, Booty Bay, STV. Those are the areas that I have quests that I can do. But they're kind of spread out, so it's a lot of running around, unfortunately. And of course I have no mount because I'm always perennially broke. I have no money, so I never have money. I spend too much money. I'm a spendthrift. I can't help it.
Hey there. Have a good one.
Okay, now let's go ahead and hit the vendor. Let's see.
I got the best deals anywhere. Glad I could help.
Oh, we got the conjured mineral. What is? Oh, 1992. Ugh.
Need help? Go with honor, friend.
Great to meet you. Watch your back.
Here's a really cool. Here's a little bit of trivia which I never knew. See this right here? I never actually, honestly, I never even noticed these were here before until like a couple months ago. But over here, these are ticket vendors, right? When they first built this deep run tram in World of Warcraft, They actually originally were going to put ticket vendors in there, and when you came in to ride the tram, you would actually have to purchase a ticket. But at some point in time, they decided not to do that. I thought that was some cool trivia. Oh, I see the chat wasn't working. Hey, yeah, I'm level 41. Sorry, Nikki. Sorry, Strata. The chat wasn't working. Sometimes it doesn't start up. You said, but I'm just reading through the chat now. Sorry, I wasn't showing. What is the best profession for hunters? Just do whatever profession you want. Alchemy is really good, but I mean, just do whatever you want, right? I mean, I leveled a melee hunter from 1 to 60 before, just doing dragon scale leatherworking, believe it or not. So it's just whatever profession you want to do. I would start off though, if you're gonna do melee hunter, or any hunter, and you want to just make money as fast as you can, grab skinning and herbalism, and then just skin and herb for till level 10. Just basically sell everything you get, you know, and that'll give you a little bit of money. Does it cost more hardcore server? I don't. RMT. What? What are you talking about? Real money transactions? Okay, well, first off, I don't buy gold, so. And people that talk about buying gold, you're gonna get a quick you're gonna get a quick boost right out of my chat. I'm not a fan of buying gold. I think it ruins the economy. It ruins the auction house. So I'm not a fan of it. Oh, you were talking about that? Yeah, yeah.
How are you?
What was this? 26 silver. 3 intellect, 8 stamina. Do I want 8 stamina, 3 intellect with 100 armor? Yeah, I think I do. Even though I lose a little bit of agility and some intellect, but I gain a lot of armor. So I'm going to go ahead and...
Off with you.
I'm actually going to grab that. Now, do I want this? No. But it's worth more money. So... what are these? I'll do the Titans. I don't remember Iron Band. Yeah. Oh, he was a joke. Yeah, that's cool. I don't buy gold, and I don't think it's good for the game, you know. I think RMT is one of the things that ruined retail WoW. Well, I don't think, I actually know. It's one of the things that's ruined retail WoW. I mean, there's plenty of Bellular videos on it and other content creator videos on it, but I mean, I was talking about ruining WoW way before any of the people were putting videos on it, but it's just common sense. The shenanigans that go on the retail servers is just really, really pathetic, actually. My plans for the weekend, I don't have any big plans for the weekend. I want to level this hunter up as high as I can. You know, Sunday I usually spend time with my wife, so I usually don't play much on Sunday. Yeah, I don't have huge plans other than just playing WoW tonight and tomorrow, and then hanging out with my wife on Sunday. Oof. And that's twice in a row. I just got here just in time to get on the tram. Trying to think. Let me look at the map. So, I wonder if I should have went to the Badlands. Stole a shipment. We coming up here, we can knock this quest out. I don't think I'm going to do the Secrets of the Troll Legends because that's really dangerous. We can grab the blueprints, probably. If I can get a group, we can finish this quest. I think I still have the Curzon quest. What is it? Yeah, this one, Colonel Curzon. Haven't done any dungeons yet, but I was thinking about doing Scarlet Monastery maybe, because I'm just about to pick up the, you know, the quest.
What can I do for you? Light bless you.
Greetings. Go with honor, friend.
I don't remember how hard it would be to kill, like Bagthera. I think he's level 43 elite. It might be, it'd probably be pretty tough. But anyways, let's see if I can get, see if anybody needs a Colonel Cruising. Apparently no one here for Curzon.
Lovely.
I dropped the wrong trap. I dropped the wrong trap there.
Lovely. 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 Lovely.
If I could have... If I could have vanilla, let me think. One thing I'd do is to have mobs with better mechanics. Well, there's a whole long of... I mean, I always kind of wish I would have kept a list, because I think of really cool stuff all the time to add to World of Warcraft. I've probably thought of like 20, 30, 40 different things over the years. I don't think I have that list anymore. I mean, obviously, better mob AI would be, you know, obviously one. You know, one of the things, if I would have armor dying, so I would allow people to dye armor. I would reduce the amount of gear in the game, not necessarily the amount of gear, but the amount of like magical and powerful gear. But I would put back into the game. I would put back in gray and white armor sets. So like, you know, gray tattered armor or something that has set bonuses. So like if you have, or like especially like crafted armor too. Like I'd put in a lot more gear that's better based on crafting. You know, I'd put in gear where you can craft like leather armor sets that are, you know, you get bonuses when you get like 3 of the items or 5 items. You get some small bonuses. I would reduce the amount of stats. I would make stats a lot weaker than they are now. I would increase mob difficulty pretty significantly. I would make it very difficult to just go out and level on your own. I would try to promote people to try to group up more often, to try to be more social. I would... what else would I do? That's just some of the stuff I do. I would probably make... You know, I would make more dungeons. You know, I mean, I would like to see more dungeons that are like, you know, LBRS, UBRS, like dungeons. I mean, like creepy dungeons. You know, like I would like to see more undead type dungeons and small. I'd like to see more in small encounter dungeons, like dynamic questing. Like if you went to like Elwyn Forest or something, maybe somebody runs up to you and says, hey, you know, my son's missing or something. Can you go investigate this cave for him? And then you'd go into the cave and there'd be like some crazy big ogre that if you tried to kill on your own, you'd probably die. And you'd have to like say, oh my God, I got to get some guild members together or get some friends to try to go and kill this ogre so we can get this person's son back. You know, I would like to implement some stuff like that. I would implement more recipes for crafting and magical. I would get rid of learning spells by going to a trainer, and I would make spells more discoverable. Meaning, like, you just, like, everybody doesn't get spells at the same rate because spells are discoverable, and I would make them bind on pickup so that you couldn't buy them off the auction house. I would make a lot more stuff bind on pickup to the chagrin of a lot of people in the game, probably. I would try to get it so that you're rewarded for going out and exploring and doing quests and helping people, that the chances of you actually exploring and discovering, you know, your spells and things you could use for your class would be greater. Yeah, that's some of the things I do. I would like to see more stuff done with magic, in a way that, you know, I'd like to see stuff like, you know, like Dungeons & Dragons, like detect magic, like where you get like an item and you could like cast like a detect magic spell on it. But the regions to cast detect magic would be pretty costly. They'd be kind of expensive. So, you know, you might get like a really nice looking weapon in a dungeon, but it doesn't, it just looks like a regular weapon until you cast detect magic on it and then you discover what it can really do. There's lots of things I'd like to do, like little things like that, to really bring in more of a Dungeons & Dragons type feel to the game, and also to promote a lot more of community and a lot more grouping with people, as opposed to, you know, to get away from the solo mentality of what MMOs have turned into. Also, one thing I've always wanted to do, and this is another thing this is another thing I've always wanted to do, and it would be like a server option. So you know how you have classic WoW and you have like hardcore servers, so people don't have to play on hardcore servers, but they can choose to play on hardcore servers. I would create a I would create a critical hit server, or what would be called a uh I don't know what you would call it. You could call it a blood gore server maybe. And what that means is that when an enemy hits you, like they have a like 0.000, like 5% chance or some really, really low chance to do like a critical wound against you. And maybe they chop off one of your fingers, or maybe they chop off your arm or something, and then your character doesn't have an arm, and you go through the world with only one arm, and you're swinging your sword with one arm. You'd have to, obviously, the development team would have to build in animations for that, so that, and then, obviously, you don't have to play on a server that's like that if you don't want to, but you could choose to play on a server where, there are like really this very low chance that you could take some like the critical wounds, or you might lose an eye, which would affect your like charisma stat, and just crazy stuff like that. I think it'd be super cool to have a server like that. I would also implement, and this would drive people crazy too, I would also implement a very, very, very low chance that your weapon could break when you're using it. Like, let's say you swing your sword at it. Let's say you swing your sword, and it only breaks, like, we're talking like incredibly low chance here, right? Like, again, like 0.00000, 1%, or some really, really low percentage chance where you could swing your sword and it could literally just break in half. Because how funny would that be? And then that you would build in animations for it, so that when that happened, it would go to a cutscene of your character swinging your weapon and showing it break. How awesome would that? Would be so fucking awesome, especially if you were like in a dungeon. Imagine if you're in a dungeon, you're doing this big tank pull, and it's a really important pull for the tank to get aggro, and he goes to swing, and his sword breaks, and it goes to the cutscene to show his sword breaking in half. Everybody in the party sees the cutscene, and they're all sitting there shitting their pants, realizing that the warrior just lost his weapon. But I mean, yeah, those are just some of the crazy features that I'd love to see. I mean, just crazy stuff, So. Ah, shit! I think my pet hit him. I mean, that's just stuff I thought of off the top of my head. I can think of a lot more stuff. I mean, I'm serious. I can think of a ton of stuff that I would love to see. And a lot of it would be based on, like I said, would be based on different modes of the game. Because you couldn't just stick it, a lot of stuff that I would love to see, you couldn't just go put into a regular server. Because there'd be too many Care Bears that they'd be like, oh, I got this beautiful, amazing weapon that's super rare drop, and then all of a sudden I swing it in the next battle and it breaks in half. I mean, they couldn't handle it. There'd be people committing suicide in the real world, you know what I mean? I would like to see a deity system put into the game, where this is something I want to do for my own MMO that I'd like to create. I never will, of course, but I mean, if I could start my life over again, like if I was born today or something, knowing what I know, I'd love to go into game development and make an MMO, and I would love to develop a deity system where you can choose to be on the side of good gods, or you can choose to worship evil gods, and there are different benefits and strength, disadvantages, and advantages to worshiping different gods. You might be able to like summon gods in the middle of combat to come to your aid. You might be able to, if you're like a follower of some crazy demon deity, you might be able to summon some demons from the lower planes of hell and bind them to like your armor to make your armor have magical properties. Maybe you bind like a fire elemental into your sword. to make your sword do a little bit of extra fire damage, stuff like that, you know, just that'd be really cool. And then of course you'd have to go through like a mini game where when you summon the elemental, you have to do combat with them to subdue them. Kind of like a little bit like how the warlock does that. Doesn't the warlock do a little bit of combat against one of the demons they summon? Anyway, just, you know, whatever. And these headsets are hurting. I'm having a lot of pain in my head right now, in my neck. These headsets are too heavy. I've got to get a lighter headset. Because I wear these headsets all day long when I'm working, and then I try to wear them all when I get off work, and I try to game and I'm wearing them. It's just, my neck just starts to hurt, man. I'm going to have to, I'm going to buy a really lightweight headset here pretty soon. There's one that I got my eye on. Just waiting for my bonus to come in and snag them.
Lovely.
Yeah, this hurts too much. I'm going to take a break, guys. My neck's hurting me too much. These headsets are just killing. I've got to get a lighter pair of headsets. I can't, like, work all day writing code wearing these headsets and then, you know, I just can't wear headsets like fucking 24/7, man. It's killing me, man. Shit, where do I want to go? Damn it, damn it, damn it. I'd like to finish this quest, but this quest takes a while. Oops. Kicking in the turbos. I think levels is outdated, and I agree with you on that 100%. I think, and if you look at, you don't have to have levels. I mean, there's other ways to have character growth. I mean, games like Skyrim, where there's, I mean, you do have levels, but levels aren't really necessary. Like in Skyrim, having levels doesn't really make a lot. It's not really needed. It's just there for show. Because really, what matters in Skyrim is you skilling up your actual abilities. You know what I mean? It's actually skilling up your abilities. So. But I think levels, you know, is kind of an outdated process. Yeah. The dopamine hit from what levels? No, you don't have to have levels. I mean, you think of like Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons has levels too, and a lot of it's based on levels to a certain degree. Like if you're like a level 20 warrior and you're fighting a level 1 warrior, you know, naturally you're gonna have a better chance to hit. You know, and they're going to have not as good a chance to hit. So, which factors into World of Warcraft, right? World of Warcraft works that way too. But you don't have to do it that way. You could do it based on, but really having levels or not having levels, it's really the same thing, right? When you think about a warrior, for example, warrior's a really good example because they're a swordsman. They're a master of weapons, right? So a warrior with a sword, I mean, as he skills up in combat, he gets better as he fights. You know, the more times he goes into battle and does battle and fights people, the better he gets at using his weapons, because just through practice and through trial and usage. And so his skill gets better. So you can think of that really as a level if you want. I mean, level's just a number that represents the fact that he has gone into a lot of battles and he's gotten better. In World of Warcraft, you go and kill a bunch of mobs, and if you do it long enough, you hit level 2. Well, all that's representing is the fact that you have that experience of fighting those mobs, and that has skilled up your abilities as a warrior. So it's really the same thing. So I don't really think that levels is like super out of date. I think that the idea of progress has to be based on something, but you don't necessarily need levels. And I think not. I think if you have a game that's going to have a really interesting PvP side to it, I think getting rid of levels is really cool, a cool idea, because like if you're going into PvP against somebody in the open world and there's no levels, I mean, how do you judge if you even want to risk going into combat against that person? I mean, you have no idea. Like in WoW, people do PvP because they're stupid. I mean, most people are like, oh, he's level 10 and I'm level 15. Yeah, I'll PvP him just because you're, you know, because you're thinking, oh, I got an edge. I'm 5 levels higher. That's the way, you know, 70% of the people that play MMOs do that because they're stupid and because they're cowards, right? But if there's no levels, you can't do that. You can't. Then you have to look at their gear. You have to look at their armor and say, well, you know, what kind of armor does he have? And maybe you watch him fight a mob and see what kind of abilities he uses. Does he use some certain spells that you know maybe you don't have yet? You know, you try to figure out like how strong is this person, and he could be faking it too, because if he sees you out of the corner of his eyes, he might be using auto attack or using like really first level spells or something. I mean, people can fake other people out, but you can't fake out the level. Like if you're level 20 and it shows you're level 20, and someone's level 40 and it shows level 40, you pretty much know right away who's going to win that fight. So I think I'm not a huge fan of level, but I do like the idea of, I do think that, like, you know, basically your weapon skills is in skills and everything. So if you have, let's see, paint. No, I don't want this. Wish I had, you know, I really need to, let's see. No, I didn't want to go in there. I didn't want to go in. I didn't want to go into the game. No, 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 log out. Like, there's like your weapons, there's like your weapon skill, right, that goes up. There's your professions, right? You have professions that can go up. You've got, there's lots of different things that can progress your character. So really it's this probably isn't the best way to show it, right? Come on, come on, come on, come on, computer. Hello, computer. Hello, computer. Holy shit, wake up. So when you think about a character progression, right? You think about weapon skills, right? Weapon skills, you know, magic skills. Then you think about, you know, your reputation, or faction, or enmity, which is used in Black Desert Online. And then you think about crafting, your crafting skill, crafting or profession skills, right? And you could have other stuff too. Like you could have like secondary skills. I like to call these life skills. And they could be stuff like, you know, pickpocketing. Like anybody could learn how to use pickpocketing theoretically, right? They could be, I don't know, first aid. You know, first aid. Maybe camping, like camping or survival. You know, camping, survival skills. You know, that, like if you look at a game like New World. When New World first came out, before they kind of, when it was in its early beta, like early alpha, sorry, like the camping and survival was something that you had to skill up. You had to actually go out and make a bunch of arrows, kill a bunch of, you know, turkeys and get the feathers and tear down a bunch of little bushes and use the sticks and craft your own arrows. And once you craft enough arrows, you'd level up your camp skill. And then when you got to higher levels of camp skill, you could do different things. They changed it later in the game, so it wasn't quite that same way, but there's all different ways to progress your character, but I don't think you need level. Like, level isn't really necessary, and level, I think, ruins a lot of stuff. I think not having a level makes PvP a lot more interesting, like way more interesting. But I think things that we're really missing, and like obviously, like you said, better AI with NPCs, friendly and not friendly. So you can actually have conversations. And actually, there's a couple of games out there right now. There's actually someone sent me a video a couple weeks ago. There's actually games out there right now that have already integrated ChatGPT into their game, into the NPCs, just as a test. And you can basically go into a game and have these lengthy like conversations with NPCs in the game. It could get, it's going to get, well, it's not, it could. It will get to the point where when we play MMOs, we could be playing MMOs without any other people, real people, and it would feel like we're actually playing with real people almost because the AI is going to be so good, right? It's going to be so good. Now we'll probably know that they're not real people, but I mean, it's going to be really good AI. And that's coming, that's coming. But I think for me, like, what if you go back to your question, what would I want? I mean, the dopamine is part of it. Like, what really drives MMOs is the feeling that your character is getting stronger, and your character is getting more knowledgeable, and your character is getting more. You're getting some more skilled with your character, and your character is getting more powerful. So the feeling that when you go into encounters that you used to struggle with, that now when you go into those same encounters, you don't struggle anymore because you're better. You're better as a player, and your character's stronger. That's really the driving force behind most MMOs. But there's other aspects to MMOs that really aren't progression, and then they're just exploration, and their storyline, and their really exploration is a thing that's not really exploited enough, I don't think. As you progress level up, but the mobs are constantly catching up on you, so you're not really leveling up. Yeah, that's true, Mulo. That's a good point. I didn't read your comment there. You said like when you're leveling up, you're moving to different zones where the mobs. Yeah, and I think again, if you take away the level aspect of it, then you don't have to worry about that. So the other thing that MMOs do is MMOs create, they say like let me go to let's go to this character. The other thing that MMOs do, and not all MMOs do this, but most MMOs do this. And if you go into like here, like if we go into and I hover over the wetlands, see it says 20 to 30. So we know that the wetlands, the mobs, the characters in this zone are levels 20 to 30. We're not really going to see like a level 50 character in this, NPC or enemy in here. We're not going to see a bunch of level 1s or 5s or 10s. And to me, that's bad, right? And like you said, if you level up and get stronger, what do? You move to the next area. So what I would prefer to see is that we don't really have like in WoW we have like zones like wetlands. I would prefer to maybe not think of them as so segregated like this because they're really segregated by their levels. 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 53 to 60. Here like 1 to 10. 18 to 30. It's really, they're really like these zones that are specific to a specific level range. I would like to do away with that entirely so that like I could go into this zone and I might find some like some wolves that, again, there's no levels, but wolves that do a certain amount of damage. I go up and I hit a wolf and he hits me and he does a lot of damage. He does like 20 damage to me, right? And then maybe I walk over to the other side here and there's a bigger wolf so he looks bigger, he looks stronger, he looks more powerful, and when he hits me, he does more damage. So try to bake that into the game that like you're trying to judge the strength of the enemy based on like how scary do they look, right? Like how scary does this guy look? Like if I see an ogre, a big ogre out there, I'm certainly going to think he's stronger than if I go up against a little kobold, right? If I see a kobold and I'm like, oh, maybe I've got my skills up a little bit. I can use my sword pretty well. I've got a couple like special sword skills that I've learned. I think I can take out a kobold pretty easily, right? Right? Maybe I've played the game for a week or 2 weeks. But if I see an ogre, I'm probably going to be like, I don't know, man. I'm probably not ready for that ogre yet. But just that thought process of having to think it through would make the game 10,000 times better than what we have in World of Warcraft, right? Because in World of Warcraft, we don't have that thought process. We just say, oh, these ogres, I look at them and over here, and they're like, oh, they're level 27. And I'm level 20. I don't want to go there, You just immediately judge it based on the level. And if you get rid of levels and make it varied so that there could be like mobs, there could be like ogres, or there could be a dragon maybe, or like a basilisk or whatever. So make every zone varied. Make there be weak and strong monsters in every zone, right? It's kind of like in Skyrim. Like in Skyrim when you're walking down on a plains or something, and you see like some bandits and stuff, and you fight them, and maybe you can kill some bandits. And then you happen to go up into the mountains through like a mountain pass. This happened. Wow, this is a character. Somebody's got their character named Stitches. I've actually seen this guy before. He named his pet Stitches, so there's a pet nearby. Yeah, see this? He named his bird Stitches. Anyways, so it's tripping my unit scan. But like this happened to me in Skyrim where I was walking through the world and I was like, this is, this I'm killing these bandits. This isn't so tough. But then I walked up to this mountain pass. There was this huge blizzard. It was super blizzard and wind. I could barely even see the mountain pass. And all of a sudden, this bear comes out of a cave that I didn't even see because there was so much snow. He's like, "Roar." He hits me in one swing, does a ton of damage. I'm like, holy shit. That's the kind of experience you want in an MMO. You want to be scared. You want to be like not knowing what's around every corner. You might want to see a cave and say, man, do I dare go in that cave? Because I have no idea what's in there. I have no idea. And if you see something in there, like maybe you see some creature and you don't even know what it is, right? It's like, what is this creature? Like if I look and I go and I see like a, and I see this creature here, this Tarrasque. I have no idea what this is. I'm like, man, that's a creepy looking character. But look at this guy. He's got 676 hit points. He's got good stats. He's immune to fire. He's got immune to fire, poison, bludgeoning, and and he's tough, man. Like this Tarrasque makes one bite attack against a larger, smaller creature. It is grappling. If the attack hits, the target takes the bite damage. The target is swallowed. Anyways. I just think that there's a lot of ways. I mean, there's no MMOs out there that are really like the way I would want them to be. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. But yeah, there's and the thing, hopefully this stuff will come. I mean, I have so many ideas. I could sit here and talk about ideas I have for MMOs for hours, literally hours. I have so many different thoughts and ideas, and you couldn't put them all into the same MMO because they wouldn't work together. But there's just, I think one of the biggest things I really would like to see is like I said before, I would just love to see more dynamic events where townsfolk or people are asking you. Like I want to see more AI built into the NPCs where they can ask you to help them do something, and I would really like to see skills and abilities be discoverable or be learned through hard work, not just going to a trainer. It's like, oh, I hit level 6 and I go to a trainer and I learn charge on my warrior. I don't want to see that at all. I don't want to see that at all. Like for example, in Dungeons and Dragons, for example, right? Like in Dungeons and Dragons, like if you're like on a rogue or something and you try to do some really great feat, like you try to maybe jump this huge chasm. The dungeon master if you you have to make some sort of roll, and it's like really, really low chance to make that roll. But if you make that roll, thank you for the sub. Thank you, Don. Is it Donnie? Yeah, thank you, Donnie, for the sub. I appreciate it. Thank you. But like, if the rogue jumps this huge chasm and has to make this really hard roll and he makes it, sometimes the dungeon master will actually say, you know what? I'm going to actually give you a chance to maybe increase your dexterity permanently because you did this super feat. I'd like to see more stuff like that in the game where you have to do certain things to unlock other things, you know what I mean? Or the cool thing about magic, it's really cool, it's really easy with magic, right? If you think about a magic user who starts the game and doesn't know that many abilities, maybe they can cast like a magic missile or something. Magic missile. And that's like outside of like magic missile, maybe they have like conjure food, conjure water. And like I said, I would really like to have detect magic as well. I think detect magic would be super cool. If you get, it's really cool with magic because you could go and find some really old like ruins, and maybe deep in those ruins you explore the caverns underneath the ruins, and you find like you find like this old ancient scroll, and your magic user tries to decipher it, tries to use his intellect to decipher this magical writings. And if he successfully does, and it's a percentage chance, he rolls a dice or something. He tries it and either works or it doesn't. And if it works, he learns like maybe a new spell. He learns a new spell. So that having to learn magic that way makes you want to go out and explore the world. You're like, shit, I want to go. And then you put the better spells in more difficult areas that require group content. So you can't just be like, oh, I'm just going to play the game solo and get all the spells, because you probably won't, you probably won't be able to do it. Now, you would be able to do it eventually because, as you use your abilities, you slowly get stronger, right? So the other thing too is like the other thing I thought about is if you were at a scroll and let's say you learned how to do a fireball, when you first learned how to do the fireball, it's like basically like a weakened version of fireball. And the more you use the fireball spell, it's kind of like Skyrim. You know, the meter keeps going up, right? And then you basically open up, like after you use the fireball long enough, then you get a choice, kind of like a branch in a talent tree. You get the choice to say, well, do I want the fireball? You know, I've used the spell long enough that I've gotten really good at it. Now I want to add some additional effects to this fireball. So I'm going to give you the choice, you know, to say, do you want your fireball to have a greater, you know, range, like when it explodes, to hit more people, like, you know, like AoE, or do you want the fireball just to do more damage to the target it hits? So maybe put some of those things into the game. So it's almost like a talent system, but not really. I mean, it would be a talent system because it would be on a visual kind of, you know, the user interface for that would be some sort of a visual. But the idea is not that you're going to a trainer or anything. The idea is that you've used your fireball for a long time and you've gotten really good at using it and you've figured out how to make it work for you in the way you want it to work for you. Like maybe you've gotten really good using fireball and it just hits harder because you're more effective at casting the spell, or you've gotten good at casting the fireball in a way such that it explodes with a greater AoE effect. You know what I mean? So, hey Muley, that sounds great, which means Blizzard will never ever use it, as it's a good idea unless you can pay for them. Yeah, well, the MMO I would create would be so, like, yeah, there would be, you know, gold. Yeah, gold. You'd have to somehow come up with a way to prevent gold buying. I'm so much against RMT. It's really hard to stop RMT. You know, it's very difficult. But certainly, I would want to prevent bots from being on the server. But it would be more difficult for the bots. Like, think about it this way, because you know, bots in WoW, they just go out and they set them up to just kill mobs and kill mobs over and over again and get to a higher level. And you know, I don't know how they do it. I don't really know what bots do. I mean, I'm assuming they just kill the same thing over and over and sell stuff and make money. I don't really understand what they do, but it would be more difficult in this version of the game that I'm talking about because the game wouldn't be set up that way. It wouldn't be set up like, oh, I'm just going to go to this area and there's the same level of mobs and I'm going to grind them. It wouldn't be like that. I would make it such that the mobs varied a lot. So like maybe you went to this forest and during the day there might be a couple of groups of bandits that move through the forest. And if you explore the forest, maybe you'll run into these bandits and maybe you can attack them. Or maybe some townsfolk people say, hey, there's rumors of some bandits in the forest that have been attacking people along the road. Could you help us out? And then maybe if you go in the forest at nighttime, maybe there's a group of ogres or a group of trolls, or you know what I mean. And then of course it's just like regular Dungeons and Dragons stuff, where there's a random encounter. There's always like the DM can always roll a dice for like a random encounter, and he's got like basically a set number of random encounters, and one of them could be really difficult. One could be a dragon flies overhead and decides to attack you. You know, so it could be anything. But most of the stuff that I want to see done in MMOs is really pulling the game back more around team play, like cooperative play, and more around like a more Dungeons and Dragons style approach, and less away from the power of the character being based on gear. I mean, I think gear is great, but I want the character to get stronger because of him using his abilities, right? He uses his abilities, and because he uses them, he gets more proficient at using them. He doesn't just say, well, I'm level 6, so I go and learn rank 2. I'm level 9 and I learn rank 3. It doesn't work that way, right? So like if your character went around and all he did for like a month of real world time was just work on crafting, he would never and you know, he would never get stronger using his sword because he's not using his sword. Whereas in some MMOs that's not really the case, because in some MMOs you know, like maybe Guild Wars 2, I think you could actually level your character by doing crafting, because you get experience doing crafting, and then because you're leveling your character doing crafting, you know, you open up ways to make your character stronger, which could be your abilities. Like, so it's kind of, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Oh, I spent a lot of time in town crafting swords and shields, and now I'm better at hitting people with my sword. I mean, that doesn't really make sense. So I'm not really a huge fan of doing it that way. But also, the other thing I would like to do is I think it'd be really cool to make a game that has different servers with different types of rules. So if somebody wanted levels and they wanted a progression, of course, this would obviously be a massive undertaking for a development team, but it would be cool to have a couple different servers. One server could be more traditional levels, and one could be more like random encounters, and one could be like, oh, your experience that you get from one thing could be used across the board. Like this experience you get, you can use to increase your skills with your sword. You know, you can do crafting, and because you did crafting, you've got so much experience, and now you can apply this towards, you know, you've got so much like talent points or something, you can apply it towards your sword if you want. Or you can play on a server where that's not the case, and the only way to rank up your ability with the sword is to use your sword, which to me makes a lot more sense. But these are just thoughts off the top of my head. Like I said, I could talk for hours and hours, and I could probably come up with new ideas like every few minutes, you know. And it's just the stuff just pours out of my head, you know. Plus, I mean, I've played these games for, you know, 20 years, so. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do think that we are going to see some really cool stuff in the next 20, 30 years. But I think most of it's going to be probably revolve more around AI and like virtual reality, and maybe not so much around some of those systems that I'm talking about, which is kind of unfortunate. I do think having a blood gore, I do think having like a bloody gore server option where you could suffer like critical wounds, where you could have an arm chopped off or an eye gouged out or lose a foot, you know, and actually have your character visually see that in the game, like your character walking around missing a foot or maybe missing an arm. You know, I mean, that would be pretty cool. I mean, it really would. I mean, because then you really bring in more of a role play and RP aspect to the game. Because a lot of people are like, well, you know, a lot of people when they play MMOs, all they care about is power, is strength. They're always measuring themselves against everybody else. But if you're on a server where someone's missing an entire arm, obviously they're probably not going to be as strong as the guy who's not missing any arms. So then it becomes more into a RP aspect and more into like just trying to play your character and like have fun with the, you know, creating an identity for your character and really focusing on the enjoyment of having a personal character identity, and then meeting other people that are playing the game, and then people are like, oh, he's that guy who's missing an arm, you know what I mean? And I mean, it'd be so cool. I mean, it'd be so cool to have someone in your party who's like got one arm, you know. It's just, and you can see it. Like you go into combat, and here's this guy running forward, swinging a sword with one hand, you know, because he's only got one arm. I just think that'd be so cool. Or he loses an eye, and he's got like an eye patch. Maybe he loses an ear, you know. I don't know. Just crazy stuff, right? I think about this shit all the time. Anyways, I'm gonna go because this headset's killing my neck. Ugh, I think my wife will be home probably in about an hour, so we'll see. When she gets home, probably she'll get something to eat, take a shower, and I might watch some TV with her, and then I may come back and play a little bit. I got to tell you, I'm a little bit burned out right now. I've played so much WoW I've played WoW since 2004, so I go through these phases where I get super burned out. That's why I create alts sometimes. Just, you know, if I get burned out, I'll play an alt for a little bit, and it'll be more interesting. But and I was playing the warrior, and it wasn't really super fun. I love paladins, but the paladins just suck at low levels. Like they're not much fun until you get up to like level 35, 40. Then they start to get fun then when you're playing a protection paladin. One thing you can do, one of the best ways that, especially it would have been cool if I did this when the server was brand new, is if you level up a paladin on a fresh server, like a server like this, and one of the good ways to make money is get your paladins like around level 24, and you can just farm the mobs before you zone into dead mines. Just go down to dead mines and just run around with consecrate and just group up all those miners and just kill them over and over again, and you will get so much cloth, so many low level greens, and just sell it all. Go in there, do it for like an hour, go to the auction house, sell everything, sell all your cloth, sell all the greens, and then go back in and if you can pick up mining so you can hit all the ores, sell all your ore, and then just rinse and repeat. You can make pretty good money doing that. Something I'd like to do on this paladin if I can get her up to around level 24. Then it's pretty cool. Anyways, I'll let you guys go. Hope you guys are having a good Friday night, and I will catch you next time. Peace out.